What if the life of a man could be summed up in a portrait? The canvas being the time and space on which they lived, the ink making up the character, and the artist being the hand of God in truth. Maybe we can imagine the portrait of St. Columba taking place on serene backgrounds with trouble being distant, unlike today where it is before us daily. Perhaps his ink laid out simply but pleasing to behold, unlike today where we see ugliness before us amidst complexity. The hand of God will always paint these pictures truthfully. Columba, born in Ireland in the year 521, entered the priestly school at the age of 20, specializing in the arts of the bard and the tales of heroes. He spent much of his life tirelessly copying manuscripts, especially Bibles, by hand. He was one of the first people on record to be involved in a copyright case. Though he did see troubled times in the forms of war and brutality, he is remembered for interesting and strange things. In one story, he even saved a man from the Loch Ness Monster. Columba perhaps even glimpsed into the Museum of Heaven, and most certainly saw into the mosaic of the pit. No one really knows when and how this prophecy will unfold, but one thing is for sure. The background of my painting is becoming cluttered to the point of crushing claustrophobia with the descriptions of the men of the future. Hearken thou, until I relate the things that shall come to pass in the latter ages of the world. Great carnage shall be made, justice shall be outraged, multitudinous evils, great suffering shall prevail, and many unjust laws will be administered. The time will come when they shall not perform charitable acts, and truth shall not remain in them. They will plunder the property of the church. They will be continually sneering at each other. They will employ themselves at reading and writing. They will scoff at acts of humanity and at irreproachable humility. There shall come times of dark affliction, of scarcity, of sorrow, and of wailing in the latter ages of the world's existence, and monarchs will be addicted to falsehood. Neither justice nor covenant will be observed by any one people of the race of Adam. They will become hard-hearted and penurious, and will be devoid of piety. The clergy will become fosterers, in consequence of the tidings of wretchedness that will reach them. Churches shall be held in bondage by the all-powerful men of the day. Judges will administer injustice under the sanction of powerful, outrageous kings. The common people will adopt false principles. How lamentable shall be their position. Doctors of science shall have cause to murmur. They will become miserly in spirit. The aged will mourn in deep sorrow on account of the woeful times that shall prevail. Cemeteries shall become all red in consequence of the wrath that will follow the sinners. Wars and contentions shall rage in the heart of every family. Excellent men shall be steeped in poverty. The people will become inhospitable to their guests. The voice of the parasite will be more agreeable to them than the melody of the harp touched by the sage's finger. In consequence of the general prevalence of sinful practices, humility shall produce no fruit. The professors of science shall not be rewarded. Amiability shall not characterize the people. Prosperity and hospitality shall not exist, but greediness and destitution will assume their place. The changes of seasons shall produce only half their verdure. The regular festivals of the church will not be observed. All classes of men shall be filled with hatred and enmity towards each other. The people will not associate affectionately with each other during the great festivals of the seasons. They will live devoid of justice and rectitude, up from the youth of tender age to the aged. The clergy shall be led into error by misinterpretation of their reading. The relics of the saints will be considered powerless. Every race of mankind will become wicked. Young women will become unblushing, and aged people will be of irascible temper. The kind will seldom be productive. As of old, lords will become murderers. Young people will decline in vigor. They will despise those who shall have hoary hair. There shall be no standards by which morals may be regulated, and marriages will be solemnized without witnesses. Troublous shall be the latter ages of the world. Dispositions of the generality of men I will point out, from the time they shall abandon hospitable habits. With the view of winning honor for themselves, they will hold each other as objects for ridicule. The professors of abundance shall fall through the multiplicity of their falsehoods. Covetousness shall take possession of every glutton, and when satiated, their arrogance will know no bounds. Between mother and daughter, anger and bitter sarcasm shall continually exist. Neighbors will become treacherous, cold, and false-hearted towards each other. The gentry will become grudgeful with respect to their trifling donations, and blood relations will become cool towards each other. Church livings shall become lay property. Such is the description of the people who shall come in the ages to come. More unjust and iniquitous shall be every succeeding race of men. The trees shall not bear the usual quantity of fruit. Fisheries shall become unproductive, and the earth shall not yield its usual abundance. Inclement weather and famine shall come, and fishes shall forsake the rivers. The people oppressed for want of food shall pine to death. Dreadful storms and hurricanes shall afflict them. Numberless diseases shall then prevail. Fortifications shall be built narrow during those times of dreadful danger.